Okay, John, when you're ready.
Okay, welcome. I'd like to call this February 22nd, 2021 council meeting to order. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was tough.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lamb.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Shields.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Coin.
Here.
Hazeltine.
Present.
Heffinger.
Here.
Reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I will make a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of February 8, 2021, as prepared and submitted by the clerk, be approved.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? Will the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the minutes?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee met prior to council this evening and we're going to meet in 2 weeks. Health, Safety, and Sanitation, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm having the clerk of council, we'll probably be scheduling a meeting sometime in the beginning of April. Other than that, I have no other reports.
Thank you. Public Properties, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, no report this evening.
Thank you. Special Legislation, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report, but I'll be holding a special legislation meeting at 4:30 on March 9th, and we'll be discussing some changes to demolition as well as feeding wild animals.
Thank you. Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Heffinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no meeting scheduled at this time and nothing to report.
Water and Utilities, Mrs. Hazeltine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to report and no meeting scheduled at this time.
And Emerging Technologies, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Director of Finance has worked with SSI to put together a plan for the new budget module for our new SSI software. We do have a bid on that, and we'll be discussing that in the very, very near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Request for council action. We have several for Finance. 2135, amend Ordinance 321, increase PO amount for Lebanon Ford for the police. 2136, bids project number 946C, Ray Mellor Fitness Trail, Phase 2. 2137, grant application, Ohio Rail Development Commission, ORDC. 2138, expenditure of $15,000, OP Aquatics, MCRC Parks Department. 2139, expenditure of Software Solutions Annual Software Support. 2140, expenditure of $15,000 for fiscal year 20 CHIP Home Repair Absolute Construction. 2141, rezone 123 West Liberty PF to C2. 364 Foundry Street and 347 North Huntington Street from R3 to OC. 2142, donate used Medina TV equipment to Medina County Cable TV. 2143, grant application FAA airport funding. And 2144, SPCA annual contribution request. Reports of municipal officers. Mayor Hamel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding COVID-19, the Medina County remains in the red level, although the numbers, both of cases on a 21-day average, are going down. Hospitalizations are going down, and ICU admissions are going down. We're just asking people to remain vigilant, avoid large gatherings, wear masks in public, wash hands frequently, and social distancing. Updated information on business openings, safety protocols, et cetera, on the city and Medina County Health Department website. A recent advisory by Medina County Health Director Krista Wasowski recommends that Medina County residents should remain at home as frequently as possible to assist in curtailing the spread. All of your efforts, along with the ongoing vaccine administration, has greatly reduced the number of cases in the county as well as hospital admissions. Well done. Fiber to the home, for those interested in having some alternatives to the current internet or cable or fiber access are asked to take a survey at www.medina.litcommunities.net. And if enough surveys are completed, there's a group working with Medina County Fiber that started in Westfield Township and Homerville area. They're coming through Seville, Guilford Township, into Montville, and we hope into the city of Medina to bring this fiber to the home. The Ice Festival was February 19th through 22nd today, following COVID protocols, and was a great success. The weather cooperated as well. I was up here at City Hall Saturday and saw most of the city lots were filled. The new parking deck outside of City Hall was filled. Most of the municipal court lot was filled, and people were still parking on adjacent residential streets surrounding the square. This is a great boost for our local businesses, and for those who thought this investment in the parking deck was not needed, you were simply wrong. Snow clearing, respectfully ask citizens to please clear the sidewalks of snow for the safety of students walking to and from school. All the students are back into the school now, and having the sidewalks cleared so the students do not have to walk in the street is much safer for them, and we'd appreciate everybody's cooperation. Then on behalf of President Council, I will go around the room for anybody else that has comments. Law Director Huber.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
Okay, Police Chief Ed Kinney.
Thank you. I have no report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development Director Kimberly Marshall.
Thank you. I have no report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Parks Director Jansen Worley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two items to note this evening. Our Rec Center Advisory Committee meetings have been changed from the third Thursday of every month to the second Thursday of every month at 7:30. This will begin March 11th. Second item that I wanted to report is we are in the process of bringing a number of new programs and some older programs back at the Rec Center. I would invite the community to check out either the Facebook page, Medina Community Recreation Center, or medinarec.org to check out those offerings as we continue to open up as safely and responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. City Engineer Patrick Patton.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind the residents that our West Smith Road reconstruction phase 4 is under public comment period right now. We have plans available on the city website as well as several locations around the city. We encourage anyone interested to review the plans and offer any question or comment that they might have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And last but not least, our Finance Director Keith Durham.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just the usual reminder that the city of Medina does have an income tax. If you live in the city, you are required to file, and you can file through RITA. I've had a number of people call because we don't have the in-town help due to COVID that we've had before. You can get all the information from RITA, and you can call them for help. It's www.ritaohio.com. Thank you.
And for those interested, we have both the forms to fill out the income tax and the waivers here at City Hall at both of our lobbies. Back to you, President Coyne.
Thank you. Next, we move on to notices, communication, petitions. We have one for liquor permit, not to object to the issuance of a new D5L permit to BM Ventures doing business as Swine Barbecue, 117 Public Square, Medina, Ohio.
Move not to object.
Second, not to object.
Any discussion?
Mr. Coyne.
Yes, Mayor.
I just wanted to mention to the council that there was an issue with apparently the Liquor Commission is still working predominantly at home and the paperwork getting hung up and not processed. What we were advised initially was they were still working on August's filings a few weeks ago. So we reached out to our state senator, Romanchuk, as well as our state representative, Sharon Ray, who promptly got a meeting, a Zoom meeting, but a meeting with the folks from the Ohio Liquor Commission, as well as the House of Representatives liaison between the legislators and the Ohio Liquor Commission. And after that meeting, we found that things seemed to move along much more fluidly, and I believe that's the result that this is here today. So Kimberly Marshall and I acted on that on behalf of the city.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
Yes.
just one other item, the D5L is in the Community Revitalization District that council allowed us to form a year or so ago, so just wanted to let you know that it works.
Okay, great, thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Unfinished business, we have none. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there's a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the rear left microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council? We have nothing on email to me, and I don't think there's anything on Facebook. Is that correct, Ms. Patton?
Correct.
Thank you. We move on to introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. At this time, I entertain a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on the following ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2621, Ordinance 2721, Ordinance 2821, Ordinance 2921, and Resolution 3021.
Move to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings for tonight's ordinances and resolutions.
Second?
Discussion on suspending the rules. Will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance 2621, an ordinance approving the 3-year capital improvement plan for the Medina Community Recreation Center and authorizing expenditure of current cash balance of fund to the Medina City Schools in accordance with the joint operating agreement.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Worley.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you stated, this does approve the 3-year capital improvement plan for the rec center, as well as issue a PO to Medina City Schools for capital improvements per the joint operating agreement. That PO will be issued for the current cash balance of the capital improvement fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
since this involves my employer, I'll need to abstain.
Okay. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Abstain.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 2621 passes 6 yeas, 1 abstention.
Ordinance 2721, an ordinance amending section 2 of the ordinance number 18420 passed October 26, 2020 relative to the final payment to, is it Ingle Construction Solutions for the City Hall Rotunda renovation.
Move to approve.
Second?
Mr. Patton, is this you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's Engelkey Construction Solutions, and this is their final payment in the amount of $165,390. It is less than what we had anticipated. I don't have it in front of me, but we were on $240,000 was our estimate, but we came in much lower than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 2721 passes 7-0.
Mr.
Ordinance
Coyne,
2821?
Mr. Coyne, before you go
Yes.
forward, I just wanted to let you know that we talked the last time, because this is a savings of close to 80,000, as Pat mentioned, and we're right in the area of about 78,000 of necessary additional work for the heating and cooling to add new thermostats and some piping and the ductwork to have the thermostats control the new devices. And we reached out to Walter and Haverfield for their advice on using this extra money from the renovation because we also did the heating and cooling, and they felt that as long as it was a project that was already identified, that it would be acceptable to use it for that.
Okay, good. Thank you. We have ordinance 2821, an ordinance amending ordinance number 13120 passed July 13, 2020, relative to the bidding and awarding of a contract for the detention basin at the Medina Municipal Airport project number 947.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Is this Mr. Patton or Mr. Huber?
I think this would be Mr. Patton.
Thank you. Last July, we passed an ordinance regarding this project. It's for a detention basin that we required to install at our city airport. Since that time, we've gotten comments on the plans from both the FAA and Medina County, which causes us to change the plans, and it increased the estimate of the project to $178,000. I would note the Stevenston Foundation had previously pledged a third of the project cost to the project. Mayor Hanwell reached out to them, and they agreed to increase their donation to $60,000, which is a little more than a third of the project cost.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Ordinance 2821 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 2921, an ordinance amending section 2 of the ordinance number 2121 passed February 8, 2021, relative to the payment for the design build contract with CPS Construction Inc. for the design and construction of the City Hall parking structure.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause?
Discussion on the emergency clause in the ordinance. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Previously, when we passed this ordinance, I believe there was a mistake in the increased amount. The total amount of our final payment will be $3,744,000, which is $30,000 more than we had originally contracted, but results in a change order of $103,000 and some change based on the fact that we reduced the contract amount midway through the project.
Thank you. Any emergency clause?
The emergency clause is recommended by our counsel, Greg Beck, in order to satisfy this. We've been negotiating with them for several months, and in order to pay them as soon as possible.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance and/or the emergency clause?
Mr. Coyne,
Will the clerk-
on the
Yes, Mr. Huber.
on the emergency clause, CPS has some outstanding subcontractors who've been waiting to be paid for some time, so that during the negotiation, they've been patient. So I would respectfully request that the emergency clause be passed for that reason.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 2921 passes 7-0.
Resolution 3021, a resolution authorizing the administration to submit a letter of interest to NOACA for potential fast-charging electric vehicle charging stations.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause?
Discussion on the resolution, the emergency clause. Mrs. Marshall.
I don't.
Are you the right one?
I think this one was Patrick.
Oh, is it Patrick? Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were all about the energy. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. As in the title, this is for fast charging, electric charging vehicle stations. NOAC has a program for the region to install a certain number of these charging stations by 2030. This is the first wave. They've identified Medina and specifically Medina City as a potential area. This doesn't bind us to them, to agreeing to this, nor does it bind them to providing these, but it's a letter of interest. It's potentially that we would install 4 of these fast charging stations here in the city. I would note, as you remember, we have previously submitted a grant application to the Ohio EPA for 8 of the level 2 charging stations, which are the lower speed charging stations. We have yet to hear from the EPA. We expect to hear them soon about that.
Thank you. Any questions? An emergency clause, I assume, is to get the request in.
Yeah, I apologize. This letter of interest is due to NOAC by March 12th, which is only about 3 weeks from today.
Okay. Any further question or comment? Clerk, please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
And clerk, please call the roll on the adoption of the resolution.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Resolution 30-21 passes 7-0.
Council comments. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple things. First of all, I'd like to thank the city and their staff, along with Main Street Medina, for all the hard work that they did. And as the mayor addressed in his opening statements, the crowds were phenomenal. And going around the square, I did notice that most of the least of times that I was there, most of the license plates on the cars parked around the square were not from Medina County, so it was good to see that we had so much out-of-town visitors, and again, I'm sure that the businesses around the square did a phenomenal business this past weekend. Again, I can't compliment enough all the city staff that worked on this event to make this event as successful as it was, and great job. Hats off to everybody. Secondly, I would like to offer the mayor and his family sympathy for the passing of Bob Hamwell, the mayor's father. I did get to know him a little bit over the last several years. What a very kind, knowledgeable man. Him and the mayor used to come fishing on our lake several summers, and so I got to chat with him and chat with him times that the mayor wasn't actually there, and he was so proud of the job that the mayor does for the city and his children and his family. So my sympathy goes out to the mayor and his entire family. And the mayor's mother, another super individual. Other than that, I just, again, would like to ask everybody to be kind to one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, council comments?
Mr. President?
Mr. Rose?
Thank you. I just want to echo the mayor's comments about the people around the square. It was absolutely fantastic to see so many people visiting the square. I ran into 2 councilmen from Brunswick. They were so impressed. They came down to us. So thank you, guys. And this evening between meetings, I took a little walk, and there were a lot of people around the square still this evening. So this is definitely a plus for the city. And as Joelle and I were walking to the event Sunday afternoon, we just happened to converge with 2 other couples, and I overheard them talking how wonderful the parking deck was. They don't have to drive around looking for parking places. They just come here, park, and walk to the square. So an affirmation to the foresight that we had in putting this parking deck in. And then my fire hydrant reminder, I don't know how much more snow we're going to get, but please keep the fire hydrants clear, and I've noticed several of the neighbors keeping them clear. Thank you very much. It's good for the whole neighborhood. And to Dennis and your family, you have my sincere sympathies. Bob and Nancy were our neighbors from the time they built their house until the time they moved out. Could never want a nicer neighbor doing anything for you, helping you out. Took my kid fishing. Okay, that's because I can't. I'm not a fisherman by any stretch, but so there are a lot of good memories, and I know that you and Kim are going to have good memories of them too. So your sister Kim, and so our sympathies to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional council comments?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Hazeltine?
I also wish to extend my condolences to Mayor Hanwell and his family over the loss of his father. And I'd also like to, I'd like to recognize the loss of Jane Rieger. Bob, her husband, did a lot for Medina, and Jane herself, through her history with Medina City Schools, as well as her shop that her husband and her owned on the square, she will be very much missed. I would also like to give a shout out to my main man, Nino Piccoli, and his crew for keeping us safe here during all these snow that's been coming down. I appreciate his team, and I know that it's a hard and often thankless job, but they really do their best 24/7 to keep the streets clean.
Thank you. Any else? Any additional council comments? I just have one. Oh, Mr. Lamb, all right.
You want me to go before you?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just two things. One is, again, about the event on the square, which the city, the city contributed a lot of, had a big hand, I think, in helping to put all that together. With Main Street, though, and I think it's just another example of a partnership that we have established with Main Street Medina and the work with the city that has paid off so absolutely well. I went up to the ice festival on Sunday with my wife and my dog on Sunday, thinking that, well, it probably won't be too crowded on Sunday, and I was so pleasantly surprised that it looked to me, I couldn't count, but it seemed to me there was thousands of people there, lines of people, and the shops were crowded, and you could barely walk on the sidewalk. And I've been going to the square for about 40 years, and I'm not sure that there's hardly any time I don't go there that it isn't just, it's still, to me, is a joyful thing to do, because it is so people. There are people there and people having a good time, and especially when we have these events that are family friendly, that can draw those kinds of a crowd. We have worked together here cooperatively in order to create just a wonderful place for people to visit and a wonderful place for people to live, and that ice festival is just one example of the product of all that work. And of course, to the mayor, finally, my wife and I, our condolences, our sympathy, our prayers to you and your family. It's hard to lose anyone, but personally, I think it's tough to lose a parent. And so we're keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, and my condolences go out to the Hanwell family also. I've had an opportunity, the mayor and his father again came to our lake, my father's lake, and did some fishing. I think they fished in every lake in Medina. County did that. So, but my condolences go out to the family. He was a great guy, and he definitely will be missed.
John?
Mr. Simpson.
One more thing, when Jess brought up Mrs. Rieger, this is going to tell the age of everybody here. Well, I'm sure there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 of us that's going to remember this. But every Memorial Day parade, when Mrs. Rieger was still teaching her kindergarten class, she would have her entire class march in the parade. And it was always so joyful to see that portion of the parade. And Mrs. Rieger, she was a pillar of the community also, along with her husband, Bob. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. With that said, the meeting is adjourned.